If you've ever forgot that it's Valentine's Day and then gone out to get some gift on Valentine's Day, you are a wizard. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome back for another day of live trading. We're going to try and make this all rosy and make some money here today. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right, folks, we are back. Happy Wednesday, Hump Day, Valentine's Day, February 14th, whatever you call it by. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Let me go ahead and bring on my main man, 13. 13, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Just watching these multiple 100% runners this morning. We got as many as 6 that I counted, but now we're down to 4. I don't think that's done yet, though.
So you're saying we're going to have a busy day, it sounds like. Okay, which one of these stocks did you make your Valentine? Okay, I promise that's the last Valentine's Day joke we are going to tell here today. But you're right. There's absolutely a ton of stuff moving here today. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we dive right in, I just want to take this time to remind you that the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool, one of the best prop firms out there. Huge pool of stocks, get up to 260K buying power, can be really, really helpful for getting over that PDT rule if that's what you need. Let's go ahead and take a look at the market here. All right. First things first, I think I might have the wrong screen shared. I do. Let me share this tab instead. Boom. So let's go ahead and talk about the SPY. Pull that up here. So we had a big pullback yesterday. Now, one of the things that we've been talking about, 13, both on this show and in the happy hour show, and I've also seen this discussion on Twitter as well, it seems like we're kind of back and forth, right? Yesterday, we had IWM lead the way down. Today, maybe we're popping back. The SPY really kind of sold off most of the day until it bounced near the close. It's drifting a little bit higher today. Let's see where this ends up going. Now, taking a look at this, it sure does look like we pulled back towards that 20-day moving average here on the SPY and perhaps bouncing. Right now, we have this as an inside candle. The top of yesterday's candle is going to be 497.09. So I expect that to get tested at some point here today. The other thing, 13, we were talking before we got on here. Do you think 499 is possible? A 3-point move in the SPY is possible. And I do. I do think that's possible. I wouldn't be shocked if we got a 500 test here, that nice little round number that we kind of fell off from the CPI print yesterday. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a test of that level here today. So I absolutely think that can happen. I'm not positioned in any way for the SPY. That is to say, I'm not in SPXS or SPXL. I'm not even playing NASDAQ on that. I'm not in SQQQ. I'm not in any of those ETFs. I would not be opposed to initiating a new position here today, but I got to feel pretty good about it. Right now, it just looks like we're kind of snapping back. 13, anything notable for you on the SPY, the levels, or what are you looking here for today?
Well, excuse me, we did have a gap created as a result of this drop that we had yesterday. So it's about a $3 gap that would lend well to your thought of testing 500 again if we fill that gap back up. So there's always that could happen. There's also some folks that believe that this could be weak out of the open. Not going to put that past them either. It's entirely possible. I think it's just going to be one of these let's just try to find a direction kind of days. We might consolidate for a little bit as well. I'm not really thinking that we're going to go too high or too low. It's just going to be more of a kind of picking a direction kind of day. I'm not, necessarily bullish or bearish in this particular movement.
Yeah, I'll take that one step further. I agree with everything you said there, especially the consolidation part. I think that if we start to trade sideways here or consolidate a little bit, that actually makes for a decent potential to break lower. Remember, we do have NVIDIA's earnings coming up here. I think it's 2 weeks or so. I don't think it's next week. I think it's the week after. But yeah, it is the week after, I believe. Alyssa, check me on that if you don't mind. We're kind of waiting for that. So if we trade sideways, I feel like that's just kind of the price discovery of that new level, and we could actually be set up for a breakdown. Now, every time that I've said we've set up for a breakdown, it's also possible that we break up. So we're gonna wait and see on that one. As I said, I am looking for a couple of things, 13, but I'm not confident on them enough to position myself for it. So we'll kind of just watch and see how the market does here today. I do want to, before we take a look at some of these smaller stocks here, I want to address this question because this is a good one. And I go back and forth on this answer. Mark, it's great to see you. Good morning. Do you guys always wait for the open before you make a move, or do you also grab pre-market? Okay, so first of all, I would say that 99% of the time, and I'm speaking solely for me right now, 99% of the time, I absolutely want to wait for that opening print. There have been a number of times that we've seen these stocks really kind of trade up, have an absolutely monster pre-market, and then as soon as the open comes, the stock actually sells off. If that's the case, it doesn't necessarily mean there's no trade there. That means that I'm waiting for one of those support levels to buy it at. This process comes from me being burned in the past. So this is just kind of a learned behavior. I seem to reduce my risk by not buying things in the pre-market. However, there are times where I buy things in the pre-market. And SQQQ and some of those ETFs that we talk about are prime examples of that. I am more likely to buy one of those instruments than one of these high-flying, low-price stocks that has some kind of PR and a low float. Remember, in the extended sessions, there are no market makers. The algorithms aren't running. It's mostly just retail guys. So sometimes you can get an outsized move that immediately comes back to reality faster than you can react to it. Now, I also follow a lot of traders, some of which have taught me things over the years, and a lot of them buy in the pre-market and in the after-hour session. So I'm not necessarily saying that this is a right or a wrong thing. It just really hasn't worked out all that well for me. I want as much data as possible. You've heard me say that volume is the most important indicator next to price. We get more volume in the regular session. So that's kind of why I wait this out. This is a good question, though. And I think there are some folks in our chat that have bought some of these stocks pre-market and then had them run like crazy when the market actually opens. So again, no right or wrong answer here. Really, it's whatever you can consistently make money on and whatever makes you comfortable. I'm not the biggest fan of opening new positions in the pre-market.
Yeah, pre-market and after hours are just kind of different animals to be trading. And like you said, Ryan, a lot of everything you said was just great. I don't particularly want to do pre-market or after hours. I've had a similar experience where things don't work out like you thought they would in those sessions. So I'm mostly in trading in regular session. Not to say that I haven't done pre-market and after hours, and I still will sometimes, but that's not my preference. I prefer to do it in the regular session as well.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Hopefully that answer is helpful. Mark, you said you feel the same. Okay, awesome. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Chuck, Crow, Bex, Jesse, Mark, Jonathan, ADW, Beach Bum, Born, Smoke, Carmen. Let me take a breath. Sydney, Order Flow Trader, Cal. Good to see all of you here today. Welcome back. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these big runners because like you were kind of setting us up, there's a lot going on here and we should have ample opportunity to make some of these trades. So the first one here I'm going to start with is DTSS. This is Data C. Stock currently is up 480%. You'll notice that it actually printed a high of just about 11.5, which is about $3 higher than where we were. This stock was up a lot earlier today. You can see how extended we are from the VWAP, still over 2 points away from that. So just kind of going off of our discussion about buying this in the pre-market, this is not something that I would want to buy. I absolutely want to wait for this to come back in to the VWAP. We can see in the pre-market it already did that once, and that led to a nice little spike, consolidation, and an even bigger leg after that. This is the type of thing that I would wait for. We only have 13 minutes till the market opens. So to me, it doesn't necessarily look like it's going to get down there in the pre-market. So let's see what happens when the market actually opens. Now on DTSS, we did have earnings yesterday morning, but we're seeing a big move here today. 13, did you find anything on this one? Or is this one of those stocks that you said was moving with no fresh news?
They didn't have any fresh news. I know that you saw something on that, or maybe it was
a different one. It was ELWS, okay, which we'll do next.
The earnings report was all I could find as of recent news. They just regained NASDAQ compliance. They had a reverse split on January 23rd. And as somebody pointed out in the chat here earlier, I think it was, well, I can't see who it was, but they mentioned Can You Riddle. It does have a very low float, 1.43 million shares.
Yeah, so low float here, just under 1.5 million shares. We've been trading some of those micro float names that are even under 1 million shares, but this obviously huge volume here. Speaking of volume, on average, DTSS trades just under 70,000 shares per day. Today, we're already at 23.3 million. I mean, that's why the stock is moving the way that it is. As we've seen with a lot of these names, really kind of have to be careful with these, right? First of all, as Can You Riddle is saying here, it's low float, so be careful with that. Not really any fresh news here, so be careful with that. The stock really, really volatile. I think one of the things that we can do in order to trade some of these, 13, you've actually been doing an excellent job of this recently, really just kind of trying to pay attention to those technical levels, see if there's any type of entry that makes sense. And then be able to trade it for a little bit, just for a couple of pennies is what I mean by a little bit. I'm going to adopt the same strategy I adopted yesterday. I'm going to try, and if I take any of these trades, I'm going to try and not sell all of them. We're seeing the propensity here for these things to move big time. It's not a guarantee that they're all going to move big time, so I'm going to pay myself on the way up, take majority of the position off, and then leave little trailers on in case we get one of these big legs up. We did that yesterday, actually worked out pretty nicely yesterday, so we're going to keep rolling that forward here today. Okay, next on the list here is going to be ELWS, and this is early works. You can see this stock's up 250% here. It was actually up more than that earlier this morning. Stock printed 270s earlier. This is the one we don't necessarily see a fresh news post, but I did notice that there were 2 passive stakes that were dropped after the market closed yesterday. All right, and so I believe that these 2 stakes are what's moving the stock here today, or at least contributing to that move. So there is a little bit more of a catalyst here. There was actually one in here. I can read this to you. Hiroki Yamamoto with a 6.2% stake in the company, and Satoshi Kobayashi with a 62.9% stake in the company. So looks like we're getting some passive stakes in here that's likely driving this. Same deal here though, right? We're going to look for some of those technical levels. We're going to figure out where the support, where the resistance is, and then try to put the odds in our favor. As you can see here in the pre-market, the volume is really kind of compressing. We'll see if that expands again when the market opens. And the other thing that you'll notice is we've actually popped back down through the VWAP. We're doing a good job holding this low area that we've kind of already set here. Maybe let's call it 150 to 157. So it'll be good if we can hold that, then maybe reclaim the VWAP. Perhaps some of these previous highs will be on deck here, ELWS. As far as the share structure goes on this one, since that's really kind of been the one of the things that's driving some of these stocks, 5.5 million float. So still pretty low, but not nearly as low as DTSS. On average, stock trades about 330,000 shares of volume. Today, we're just about 32 million and the market's not even open. So again, big outsized volume here today, likely to see more moves in ELWS today. Did you have anything else on ELWS before I move on?
The only thing that I noticed about ELWS, other than everything you just said, which was great, is that it's a blockchain-based company. Now, we do have Bitcoin that rocketed through 51K early this morning, and that's why a lot of these Bitcoin names are up right now, like CLSK that was being asked about by Stackin. We have Mara up, Riot up. All the Bitcoin names are running right now, and I think that is also contributing to ELWS because they are a blockchain-based company. So maybe a bit of a relationship trade there happening as well.
Absolutely. In addition to the stake being taken there, this is also related to Bitcoin. Bitcoin crossing the 52K handle here today. Mark saying ELWS is currently at the 60% fib retracement. Mark, you probably drew it different. Might have been a different time frame. I basically just drew the fib retracement chart here from the open of the pre-market this morning to the high print here. You can see we actually did find support at that 0.618 level. That's often referred to as the golden Fibonacci retracement level. So maybe I didn't draw it the same as you, but it sure looks like this level here is holding. That's definitely one to keep an eye on throughout the course of the day today. Okay, next is going to be Brea. And I'm just going to say this here. Every time I see this stock pop up on a scanner or a news feed or anything like that, I think of that corny show La Brea that was advertised on TV, and I have a negative connotation because I think that those commercials are kind of silly. All jokes aside here, this thing is, you can see this thing is no stranger to popping and dropping. So what that tells me early on is that if you do find some type of entry trigger for this, be quick on the trigger to exit. Again, this is a 1 minute chart, so you can see these spikes here are very, very quickly sold back down. Now, I'd like something a little bit easier to trade. I don't necessarily want to, be as nimble as that, but we might as well mention this. It is moving here up 170%. Just keep in mind how this stock has traded. If you do end up taking this, don't get caught. Don't give up your gains. Anything else on Brea here before I move on, 13?
No news that I could find. It had recently had a 100 million shelf offering. So I don't know if that's really contributing to this movement or not. But other than that, it's got a 3.46 million float. So not too hard to push around either.
Okay. CCG, this is Chesh Group. I'm probably butchering that, and I apologize profusely. We had a huge pop up to 2250. We've really kind of bled this back to 690 here. We're actually under the VWAP. The volume has really kind of disappeared. I don't see any fresh news on here. I got to be honest here. This one makes me a little bit nervous. We'll see if Smoke Tuna and his wizardry can come up with a good bottom side entry on this and maybe get this for a pop to the upside here. You have anything on CCG? I really don't. I mean, looking at the volume here, it's 38 million shares in the floats. It's really nothing alarming there. On average, it trades 17,000 shares, which is almost nothing. Today, we're at 2 million. But other than that, I don't really have a whole lot on this one.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this one either. I am seeing some passive stakes being reported earlier in the month and last month. They also had earnings at the end of last month. But other than that, I don't really think there's a whole lot going on here. I'm not sure that I'd want to really even take a stab at this one. It's got a 38 million float. So it's not really a low float stock, but it's not really that big either. It's kind of just somewhere in the middle. I just don't know about this one. I'm not sure what's driving it, and I don't think there's really anything that I could get behind. So I probably won't be touching this one.
Yeah, and given some of the other stocks that we have moving around here today, I know you guys are mentioning BMR. We'll take a look at that. That's a previous runner here. But we also have some new issues today that actually have some type of catalyst behind them. So I'm with you, 13. I think I'm probably going to stick to the one that feels like it's a little bit more predictable. Next on the list here, and the list is shifting around on me, obviously, because there's still trading going on, is going to be CNVS. And I'm pretty sure several of you mentioned this here in the chat. Jonathan, looks like you were already trading this here in the pre-market. So going back, Mark, to your question about pre-market, as you can see, there are other traders here that are able to do this quite successfully. So no wrong answer there. Anyway, CNVS, this did pop just over 5. We've kind of come back again, broke through the VWAP to the downside here. Seem to find some near-term support at 3, and we're bouncing off that level. We'll see if we get another entry trigger here. The volume that we're seeing here kind of condensed. That's pretty normal for the pre-market. We'll really want to see is if that expands again when the market opens. If we flip over to the news tab here, we do have a catalyst for this one. Cineverse partners with Google Cloud to launch a conversational AI-powered search and discovery tool for film and television content. Okay, 13, you know what that means. We got a PR drop with AI in the title. Buckle up, baby. This thing's ready to go several 100%, as we've seen with some of these other ones. So just keep in mind, CNVS has an AI-related press release driving it here this morning. On some of the other names that we've seen this happen, they can really kind of go nuts.
They said they partnered with Google Cloud. So there's another buzzword. Remember how we had that other runner that partnered with NVIDIA, and that one took off? So I think if they just those Mag 7 stocks or Mag 10 or whatever, however we're counting now, they're buzzwords now. So if a small companies like this is talking about partnering or doing anything with them, that's going to move the stock, in my opinion.
Okay, there you go. I know we're running out of time here. 3 minutes till we open. I'm going to try and speed it up here. Next is going to be IINN. This is another one here. This did pop above 2. We're actually doing a good job holding above the VWAP here. We've used it as support already. We do have a catalyst here that is similar. Inspiria Technology shares are trading higher after the company announced that it received the first ever U.S. patent approval for orbiting blood oxygenation delivering system, a core technology of Inspiria Art 500 device. So, okay, getting a PR there. I'm just going to call it IINN. I don't know how else to say that. That's moving up here. You got anything on this one before I move on?
Just that it has an 8.16 million float, but you nailed the patent information. I don't think there's anything else I need to cover on that.
Yep, agreed. All right, next is going to be TAOP. Oh, this one I know we've traded here before off the relative volume scanner. Popped almost as high as 4, really bled back down, has been using the VWAP as resistance. So first step here, obviously the volume expansion that we're looking for on all of these trades needs to be present. But on top of that, we'd really like to reclaim the VWAP, perhaps consolidate above or at the VWAP before pushing off later on in the morning. So TAOP, we'll check on that one. A couple more that I wanted to mention here. We talked a little bit about BMR. BMR, this is just a former runner that, like RVSN, right? It's not over till it's over, and it looks like it's not quite over yet. So we'll absolutely keep an eye on BMR. Didn't see any new news here today. One other stock I wanted to mention here was Lyft. Lyft reported earnings. You'll notice the huge pop here. They actually had a misprint in their press release that they corrected very quickly. That's why you see this candle here. Despite that, pretty good earnings numbers. This trading up here, we'll see if we actually can break out above 15. That looks to be the level to watch here intraday on Lyft. And then Carmen, you had a request here. Check IREN. Okay, this is ticker IREN. This is Iris Energy Limited. They also had a PR here this morning. Iris Energy shares are trading higher after the company announced an expansion to triple its existing AI cloud service businesses. So there we go. 13, getting some more of those buzzwords in there.
10 seconds.
Clearly driving the stock, and that is good timing. Let's go take a look at the market. I'm going to flip over to my main workspace here. Let me grab the. What
do you think? DTSS breaking.
Let's see.
New highs at the open.
Let me pull it up here.
Is it happening? There, it's happening. Woo! Look at it go.
There we go. So right through that here to the new highs. Good call.
Probably going to 15. I think Crow said 14. I have 15 as the next level.
Okay, you guys measured those moves off previous moves, or how did you come up with those levels? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just I think some of these I had to go back into daily and weekly charts because they were so far back. Looks like we're going to get a halt.
Yeah, DTSS here going to halt at 1272. If it holds here, I still see Prince trading, but it is halted now. DTSS halted to the upside right out of the open. Big move here on DTSS. Okay, so we have a little bit of some craziness right out of the open. Let's see what else we can catch here as DTSS is halted. CNVS, real quick, let me bring that up. That one was moving lower. Sorry, 13?
Hollow looks like it's going to.
Okay, Hollow. We didn't actually cover this in the pre-market. Another one of those former runners. This is a good job calling this yesterday too. Had another move yesterday. See if we actually break the top off here on this pre-market range, and we can go up and test that $30 range above it.
Yep, $28. I want to see it get over that.
Good morning, Shannon. Great to see you. Good morning, EKS. Great to see you. Wiss, how's it going?
Looks like some of the Bitcoin names are trying to shake out the weaker hands before they go higher. Not sure if that's what's going to happen, but this is kind of something I'm watching for.
CNVS reversing off of that sell-off from the open. So it looks like those sellers got exhausted. We are popping back up towards the VWAP. We'll see if we end up staying there.
ELWS and DTSS are both halted.
Okay, so ELWS, another one that we talked about here, halt fest right out of the open. 13, you have any worry about some of these junkier stocks running so frequently that maybe signals something else? Okay.
This is something we discussed in the happy hour. When you see a lot of these multiple 100%, maybe up to hundreds of percents or 1,000% runners, it's pretty indicative of a market top, is because they're just looking for other things to trade. You can't really trade things that are just not being bought up anymore. Like you have these large caps that are just nobody's really buying them as much, so they're not really that tradable. You have these other ones that are moving so much more, and that's what they're focused on. And that's just indicative that this market's not making sense anymore. It's not making sense for it to be as high as it is.
Yeah, it hasn't made sense to me for a little bit, to be quite honest with you. We've discussed that at length here. For some reason, I can't pull up INN IINN here. I don't have the chart, but I have everything else. See if I can resolve that. In the meantime, I'm going to go back to Pro here real quick.
Looks like the Bitcoin names have shaken out some of those weaker hands. It's trying to go green now. Some of them are. Let's wait and see how that shakes out. Hollow, man, if this thing is going to go to 28, it looks like it's really trying to get up there. Yeah, we had a big spike in the VIX yesterday, and now we're coming back.
Yeah, it spiked. What's funny about that spike 13 is that we actually had the biggest move really late in the afternoon, and that move immediately got sold. IINN, here's your chart. Looks like we came back into the VWAP here. Interesting spot if it doesn't continue to break down here. IINN. Here we go. I got my actual trading. I wish I could just do that. No, I can't. I got my actual trading platform up here. IINN breaking down. There should find some support here. Let's call it 150. See what happens. I have a low intraday print here of 153. Do have some size on the bid at 150. We'll see if that ends up holding here. I do see some offers being stacked on the ask above it. So maybe this is going to get pinned in a range until one of those walls falls down.
All right, just waiting for some of these to come out of their halts. And I'm pretty much just looking at the big runners that we've been discussing lately, the BMR, Hollow, Brea, DTSS, ELWS. Those are the ones I'm kind of focused on right now.
Okay, IINN. I'm kind of watching this here because I want to see what it does with this low here. That'll tell me if we have a possibility to reverse. Let's see if we actually snap through this. Pretty big offer here at this 150 spot.
Okay, Hollow getting pulled back.
We'll flip over to Hollow. I don't have a position yet here, but I don't want to forget it. Here you go on Hollow. So it did trade up to the top end of that pre-market range and came back.
Yeah, I couldn't quite get to 28. That's about where I have. I mean, the pre-market range, or is this after hours? That's pre-market. Go ahead.
I was just going to say CNVS looks like it really is kind of holding in here. This $3 looks like, oh, is that 3? Yeah, I've got that at about 302 here. Looks like that's holding here. We did pop back up to the VWAP. It seems like we're having some trouble clearing this out, but if we do, look for this one to move here. Pros calling for 4 any moment here on CNVS.
I'm thinking BMR is trying to push higher. It's trying to take out this wall at $17.
There you go, Beamer. This has been a multi-day mover here. We'll see if we get another move here today.
And there
Beamer
goes.
Looks like it's popping through 17. Nice, 13.
Yep. It looks like it's going to try to take out 1720 and then 1730. I don't know about that.
COGT being called by WIS. This up to the top end of the pre-market range. We'll see if that can pop. ENGM, boy, the chat, you guys are coming in fast and furious with some names to watch here. This ENGM, this looks extremely spread.
This one had news. Their CEO resigned, and they also had a $20 million private placement at $10 a share.
CNDT popping here.
Woo, look at that one go. Okay, so DTSS is out of the halt. It's down lower now, trying to find support.
Looks like this might be curling here. IINN, thank you, Rob. IINN bouncing off that 150. Yep, sure did. This is, yep. So it didn't quite get, it looks like we set the intraday low here at 151. That big size on the bid that I was talking about still remains at 150. Interestingly enough, now I see another one brought in at 155. So I would say if you got entry anywhere between 151 and 153, now that the stock has moved higher, perhaps set that stop right at 156 above that 155, so you can actually use that offer on the bid as support for your own trade. That would make it so you couldn't possibly lose on it. Obviously, we're hoping for a bigger move here. We'd really like to see this test too.
BMR halted after running to 1850. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, nice move. Beamer has really given some trading opportunities here.
Oh, yeah.
DTSS looks like that tried to move higher here as well.
Yep.
DTSS trying to move back towards the top end of that range.
Yeah, this one's looking pretty strong, but after getting smacked down after reaching 12. I want to see some more green candles.
Rob, love your trade here, Rob. Love the entry. I think that's real good. You must have bought in the pre-market, I think, because we didn't get that here in the intraday session. Love the entry price that you have. Stock's looking good so far. Keep us posted on that trade. Looks like you hooked one.
Yeah, Parker calling out hollow. That one's trying to push to 28. Again, I think it might get it this time.
Yeah, there's lots of movement here.
Let's see. Take a look at the size here. Okay, just took out a wall. It's 27.75, and then that popped it up to almost 28.
GRYP from Bex here. This one interesting. This looks like Griffin Digital Mining. This might be attached to Bitcoin. I don't know. Looks like it's really kind of been sold into recently. Maybe we have actually found a bottom here. GRYP. Have to do a little bit more work on this one.
Hollow through 28 and trying to head higher. Great call out, Parker.
Yep. Lyft, by the way, that's just vertical out of the gate here after its earnings this morning here on Lyft. Hollow was the one that you just said. Boy, I just drew a blank there.
I had a hollow joke lined up for that, but I'm not going to say it.
A hologram?
No.
Just the way you said that has me worried. So, okay, looking around here for some more stuff. Bitcoin actually still looking like the ELWS.
It's still halted, but as soon as it comes out, I'm gonna see what it does. I think it's supposed to be on halting in short order here. I don't have a timer on that, so if somebody else does, that'd be helpful.
Let's see. I have that trading halt at 9:36 Eastern. It's 9:39 right now, so I would imagine that 9:35. Yeah, that was only open for less. That was open for 30 seconds, 28 seconds before it halted. ELWS trade resumed 9:35:42. Halted 9:36:10. Less than 30 seconds of being open. Yikes.
So the new name that Lynn and Randy have for me is Jolo.
Yeah, Jolo. I actually saw that earlier. I kind of like that. Lynn and Randy, good with nicknames. That's for sure. All right, you're going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to check ENGN. This was mentioned earlier here. Looks like this is trading up here. Volume doesn't look huge on ENGN. The spread is just completely out of control. DTSS moving towards the highs here. New highs, in fact, on DTSS.
Wow, look at that thing go. Yeah, $15 is the next level I have in DTSS. Hollow looks like it's trying to, it's struggling on the 5-minute chart to close over 28. Well, it's over 28 now. I'm looking to see if we get a close over it in the next 4 minutes. If it goes higher, it should. DTSS just pushing on up.
Uber
BMR.
higher also here along with Lyft. Lyft, big move here on that earnings.
Lyft had earnings. Uber, and I think they also are talking about a strike. All the Uber and Lyft drivers, not all of them, but okay. ELWS is open now. That one popped up and now it's coming back in. Maybe it holds, and it's going higher. Next up I have in this one is 240.
It's taken some size here at 220. There it goes, and through and higher. ELWS
looks like it's going to halt again.
BTAI being mentioned by Smoke 2. Got lots of movers here. BTAI big spike. Is this going to halt too, Tuna? 14s now on DTSS. Another big move there.
Yep, ELWS right back into a halt.
CNVS, Mark taking this at 285. Mark, be careful here. Looks like this is breaking some of the lows on CNVS.
Let's see. Who was it that had 14 for TSS? That one's through. It's almost to 15, which is where I have my level. But hey, 14. That was a good call. And they called it like I think before it was even open.
Real quick, review wizard. What do you think of Robinhood? Do you think it's going up still? Well, so it's definitely positive here today. So I know that it's, up here today. Do I think that this momentum can continue to take it higher? To me, it actually seems like it's slowing down a little bit. Remember, Robinhood popped to the upside, traded up on some pretty good earnings. My personal bias almost certainly comes into play here. I don't like Robinhood as a product just personally because I'm used to other services, but I think there's also a crypto angle here with Hood, right? So don't they allow crypto trading? Someone check me on that. Doesn't Robinhood? Okay, so with Bitcoin putting in the move that it's putting in, I could see Hood continuing to trade kind of along with that. I don't know how much more room this has, though.
It's important to know that when it comes to their crypto, you're actually trading. You're not actually buying the coin or whatever crypto it is itself. You're just kind of trading it in trust because they are holding it and they're basically saying, okay, well, of what we have in our holdings, you own this amount. So you're not necessarily owning. You're just owning it on paper, essentially.
Yeah, so it's not actually yours. It's basically just a paper. Yeah, I got you here. Let's take a look at Hood. Crassy saying Hood resistance is at 14. Let's go ahead and go to this here real quick. So also first BMR of all, open. Okay, we'll check on BMR here in a sec. So definitely can see some resistance here on Hood. Again, as you can see, this is down fairly considerably. I would say above 14, probably looking at about 16 and a half on some resistance there. And then I would say maybe 18 to 1850 on Hood. The one thing I will say is you are starting recently, as of this year, 2024, you are starting to see some higher lows. And we did break the top off right here. So that's definitely bullish here for some more upside on Hood. Now, let me go back to this. Here we go.
And while you're bringing, BMR, it's probably headed over 20.
Who's buying another Beamer today after trading Beamer, huh?
Let's have to wait and see if it does. But CCG, the one that I said I wasn't going to trade, that one's almost back to what it was before all this movement. It would be interesting if we get back to these previous levels that they had over the previous several days. If we get back to those levels, if buyers might come in, that'd be something I'd be curious to watch. But I'm still not interested in CCG right now.
Yeah, me either. That intraday chart looks pretty awful here. DBGI being mentioned here by Tuna, bottom bounce here. We've seen this one move recently, so we'll see. Just be careful for this one to break down. I think that this could really come in quickly if it does not move to the upside.
Yeah,
but doing a good job holding in there.
360 is the next level to the downside that I have, and that's quite a drop from where we're at. Let's see. Looks like Beamer's still trying to take out 20. It's got to get through a few walls of resistance.
Jay saying, Jay, even Mod G up on a crap report. I didn't go through that. Mod G is Top Golf Callaway Brands. Looking at the daily chart on this, the daily chart actually looks pretty decent. I'd love to see a breakout out of this sideways area that goes back to last year, mid-December of last year. I would imagine that over the winter, that report would have been decent. Was it a guide maybe that wasn't so great? To me, it just seems like over the winter, addicted golfers like myself are going to go to some type of simulator or some type of heated area if they can't actually get on the course. I've never actually traded this one, Jay. Being another golf fan, let me know if this is actually something you've ever traded or looked at, or if you've got any thoughts on this one. Really, the only thing I can think of here is if we were able to break out, let's call it 15, right? A breakout here on 15, maybe this moves higher.
Yeah, it looks like Hollow is coming back in a little bit. I think it might be forming a bull flag. If it breaks below and closes beneath $26.25, it's probably going to just be a broken pattern.
Hollow here coming back in. By the way, Zim, I know we've talked about Zim quite a bit. That is below 12 here, 1185 on that price on Zim. We'll kind of wait for that a little bit.
Yeah, just sort of waiting for that to come off its bottom. I do have a plan for both sides. So if this trade doesn't work out, I do know where I want to exit. It's going to be closer to $10. I just need to see what the price action is looking like if we get down there.
Tesla all selling out of the open here. Let's see if we find a bottom. Might be a trade there. ELWS is open. Sorry, 13.
No, it's okay. It's as much as it was open, it is now halted again. That is fast.
Yeah, so this is actually where I got my term halt fest from. When the stock opens and rehalts faster than you can possibly trade it, what are we doing, right? What are we doing? There's got to be something better that we can. How are we supposed to trade if the stock is unavailable for trading due to a halt? Right? The more it halts, the less likely I am to trade it a little bit. But we'll keep watching it here because I actually had a big move. Jay, Sorry, really quickly here. Appreciate this comment here. Maji hasn't been good since they changed the symbol from ELY. I like ticker golf better. That's Titleist AccuSnet. So okay, good stuff there.
I was just mentioning Hollow down to the level where it needs to turn around and start trading its way back up. Otherwise, this broken pattern, it's probably going to be time to find something else besides Hollow. DTSS, still trying to push up to that 15 level. Came really close the last 5-minute candle. We're almost there again. Just hasn't been able to get through it. There's a pretty good amount of shares trying to get sold at $15. That's one of the reasons why it's not able to push through. But if we get enough buyers to come in and take out that supply zone.
And I'm sorry, I got sidetracked here. Which ticker are you mentioning? I'll bring it up.
DTSS.
Oh, the ticker. The ticker here this morning, DTSS.
Yep. Looks like Archer had a nice pop out of the gate, came back in, trying to trade back up. This one, I took a lot of shares off the table when it was trading. It was much higher yesterday, or the day before, I mean. Yeah, back when it was over 550, I took some shares off the table. I still have some, quite a bit actually, but I'm just going to wait and see what happens with this. DTSS
new 15. Highs here. This is wild.
That's the level I had, and it got rejected. I guess it didn't break through all that size yet. It looks like it's trying to attack it, and it's through. All right. Hollow coming back up. This was good because if it didn't do that, it would have been pretty bad for the stock. We're going to get next candle in about 5 seconds. Lynn, sometimes I don't need to look that far left at all because there's not a whole lot of history. Sometimes these other ones, they just have such long history that I have to switch to a weekly chart or a monthly chart so I can see far back enough for some levels.
Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done. My bad.
No, I was just going to say it's just as soon as I can find levels that are close to where the price is trading in pre-market, that's when I start identifying them and marking them.
I always take a look to the left here, and like you, 13, if there's data, or especially if there's good data, might even have to look at a weekly or a monthly chart to get an idea of where some of those levels are. The one thing I will say here is that if I cannot find some clearly defined area, I tend not to pay it too much attention, right? Because normally when some of these things pop, if they pop through a whole bunch of ranges, what traders are focusing on is going to be in the immediate. If there's a very clear level from years ago, yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that. I always want to look to the left. I know I joke in the happy hour about Tim always sharing monthly and weekly charts. He's actually really helped me to look even further into the past. But as Joe said, sometimes there's just no data for that. There's nothing we can infer from it.
Yeah, I usually start with hours. And then I'll go to days. And if I still can't find levels with that, then I go to longer time frames.
Okay, DTSS continuing to pop up here. It's funny. I know we were just talking about Mod G here. Mod G actually on my relative volume scanner in Pro for the first time, I think, that I've seen it. So obviously trading on some unusual volume here and trading to the upside. But as Jay mentioned earlier, ticker golf seems to be better in terms of a trade.
It's more recognizable, kind of like how the AI ticker.
Yep, absolutely. Golf, by the way, up here today, 1.7%. So that's clearly moving as well. Smoke Tuna calling shot.
Shoot your shot.
Okay, that did pop here, came back to the VWAP. Interesting level here for a potential add.
CLSK is moving. It's looking to take out pre-market highs. I'm looking to see. Okay, so Bitcoin's over 52K. So we probably should see some movement.
Someone asked about CLSK earlier, right? You had mentioned it. Yes. There was someone in the chat that was asking about, okay, CLSK, this is actually looking pretty good here. I would just kind of monitor the Bitcoin chart here.
Yep. I think that's the best way to go about these Bitcoin names, to see what Bitcoin's doing, and you'll see that translate into the stock. Yeah, that's a great move in CLSK. I want to say that they also have some kind of relationship to the microgrid. I don't know everything about this company, but I remember this used to be a big mover back in 2021 when this when Bitcoin was really going crazy.
And Lyft, this looks like this one's higher. This is a big move for Lyft. Really, really good day. The CEO on CNBC this morning said that they actually reported the best quarter in their company's history. Now, I can't fact check that or now. That's a CEO talking about his own company, so I don't expect him to be like, "Yeah, we sucked." Obviously, he's gonna talk nicely about it. But nice reaction here on Lyft, and then Uber up on the back of that as well. Still, Uber looks like that's trying to go higher.
That will lift the stock price for
LWS opened and halted before I could even pull it up here. Wiss laughed about it. I mean, this is just at this point now, this is just kind of comical. Looks like this is a downside halt, by the way.
This is like, what was that one popular South Korean Netflix show? So the game, that deadly game that they were playing. I'm trying to remember what it was. Help me out, chat. What was that show?
Which one is it again?
It was this. It got popular on Netflix. It's from South Korea. Squid Game.
Squid Games.
That's what this feels like with ELWS. The very first Squid Game they played was green light, red light. It's just coming in and out of halts. And if you're on the wrong side of the halt, you're dead. Sorry, I shouldn't have thought that. Ooh, look at that. BMR crashed. Somebody put their foot on the accelerator too hard. Did find support from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute and is trading back up, but we are below VWAP. I don't know about BMR at the moment. This whole demand zone that we created in pre-market is what you're going to want to where you're going to want to see the price hold up. And if it doesn't, then I'm probably going to not even look at this anymore. Hollow still trying to get back up to 28. I'm sorry for interrupting you again.
Nope, it's totally fine. I'm basically just poking through the list here.
So CCG had a pop and halted again.
Hello, office assistant. What are you doing?
And it got a little close to that that area I was talking about where we were just going, sideways for the longest time, maybe slightly down. So it's probably getting some support here. Probably we'll see what happens outside of this halt, but I just don't like the way the EMAs and the VWAP are crossing to the downside. So I'm just going to wait with that one.
T. Lee, I'm just going to call you Tom Lee and pretend that you are the Tom Lee. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying thoughts on ARM here. ARM, actually, the move up really kind of felt squeezy to me. But honestly, when you're looking at some of these other stocks like NVIDIA and SMCI, which have just been absolutely raging, NVIDIA higher here today. SMCI, I believe this printed, SMCI might be going to 900 here. This is just complete rocket out of the gate. This does look like it's kind of flagging here, right? So it looks like we're on ARM, we popped, we really kind of came back in. It looks like we're kind of drifting up here on ARM. I don't necessarily want to buy this. Nice pop. As we're talking about this thing is popping right through the VWAP here. I would say next spot, probably 145 to 148 in here for potential resistance spot on ARM if it keeps trading up.
So we're in blue sky territory with DTSS now. Broke through all my levels, and I have nothing else here. So it's time to go to
Blue sky breakout. This was the trade here.
Mm-hmm.
Was the trade here today?
And we were on this one too. Like this one looked good from the start.
Yeah, but the thing about, the first move out of the gate here, that kind of, I took it off my screen because I'm always kind of waiting for it to kind of come back into a support level. And then when we did actually regress back to the mean, we never touched the VWAP, which is what I would have been looking for. So I'm not even upset about missing this because it didn't really fit my trade plan anyway. I mean, it didn't. The trade plan that I have would not have been executed because it never reached some of those levels. This thing just looks like a runaway. We'll see if we get another pullback here.
Yeah, I still think it was a really good call out, and I just want to.
Yep. No. But so this is kind of what we've been talking about. Jay bringing up another really good point here. DTSS, in regards to DTSS and some of the other ones that we've had here. 400% moves, a bit concerned. We saw these moves in 1999. So what's interesting about that, Jay, is we actually, in the happy hour show, we had two very veteran traders who both traded through the .com area as well. And they said exactly the same thing as you. They said when they start seeing some of these things, especially when they run 4, 5, 6, up to 1,000%, we start seeing it every day. That is concerning behavior. And I completely agree with that. I don't think the behavior that we're seeing here is normal. Now, we're trying to trade within the market that we're being presented. We can't change all of those, but I think that this is a really good warning. These things that move like crazy, one day they're just not going to move, or they're going to move in the opposite direction. So I agree with you. I definitely have some concern. It's one of the reasons why I was just saying on DTSS, I really needed this to come back into the VWAP. I'm definitely not trying to front run any of these trades. I'm certainly not going to oversize or get myself involved in something that is really volatile and has the potential to really come back in. I think this is a really good warning. I think everyone should heed this.
Yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of news articles too, saying very similar things about, hey, we've been seeing this kind of activity back in the .com bubble. We saw it in 2008 before we had the Great Recession. So heed those warnings. These are coming from people who have seen this type of stuff before, and they know what happened. So I would listen.
And so here's the other point here. None of them are trading on earnings. It's all Momo. And that's the thing, like here's the thing about momentum, guys. And Jay, tell me if you agree with this or not. I know that you have more experience than I do. When it comes to momentum can last longer than you think, right? These things can keep moving. It cannot make any sense at all, but the momentum continues to carry it. The problem is that at some point, that momentum is going to run out. And when that momentum runs out, now you basically have a stock that's up on an absolute ton of air, can really come back in. If you have large positions, you might not even be able to get out of them, things like that. So again, fundamentals don't matter right now. At some point in the future, they will. And what Jay's telling you here is that if you have a fundamental move like a quality earnings report, it's going to be easier to buy some of that momentum to the upside than if it's just trading on momentum on its own or simply air.
Good job with Iron, Carmen.
Sorry, I was probably rambling too much there, but that was important to me.
No, it's okay. I don't need my eyes and fingers to listen.
Jolo, you're just out here doing it.
Jolo, God. All right.
And actually, these Bitcoin names, I know we've talked about, 13. I know we've talked about Bitcoin quite a bit here. These Bitcoin names definitely moving here, definitely giving them some trades. Look at Coin. Look at Coin. This thing up 17 points from yesterday.
That's right, Beach Bum. That is correct. I'm looking at DTSS now, waiting to see if it can hold these levels. If it can hold above 15, then we might be getting set up for another good move in DTSS. So I'm just kind of watching to see what we get with that.
Crow, I'll try and be brief here so I don't ramble too much. Any thoughts on strictly trading on technicals? Yes, this is actually factored into our discussion. So far, it seems to be the technicals that are working, right? So if you have a really sharp technical setup or system, that's probably working for you. Some of the other more experienced traders saying, hey, look, just do what works. Trade the chart. It's all about the technicals right now. Fundamentals don't necessarily matter as much. That's all going to change, though. At some point, that's going to change.
Yeah, fundamentals don't matter as much at all. We have DTSS, it's up over 1,000%, ELWS up over 400%, and then we have a whole bunch of runners that are anywhere from 10 to 90%. Yeah, I don't think that very many of those are trading on fundamentals at all. Absolutely trade technicals. They seem to be working more than anything else these days lately, but that's going to change, as Ryan said.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. IINN, one of the stocks here from the list, that looks like that's moving down here, really finding no support at any of the levels, unable to get above its VWAP here. We'll see if we can get a bottom trade on that. Brea, stuck in the tar pit. Am I right? This thing moving down here. This thing moving down here out of the pre-market. Taking a look at the 3-minute chart here that Smoke Tuna has kind of talked about quite a bit. Maybe we're starting to get these signal lines to maybe flatten out and pitch back up. We'll see. I don't have a good enough reading here on the histogram. I guess I could do this. The histogram looks like this is kind of collapsing, and this blue line is pitching up. So Brea, we'll see. I think this is a little too early to claim that the bottom is in, but keep it on your radar just in case.
CCG finally opened again, and that one had a little bit of a pop up, but it's trying to not go down to VWAP, but it's off its pop up. I don't know about CCG, to be honest. I don't know about this one.
Mark, we're going to give you another registering. Mark, you've been on fire these last few days here. Out of CNVS 305, nice little move up off the bottom back towards the VWAP. This definitely one of the first resistance areas here. We'll see if we can actually pop and move above. If we don't, you actually might get another setup on this one. So we'll see. Rob saying, I got stopped out of IINN. Oh, well, on to the next. This is bingo. This is the exact way you want to look at that. If a trade doesn't work and you set up a stop to not get destroyed, you did your job. We can't win them all. Really good discipline there.
Yes, sir.
Mark's saying, but it caused chest pains while holding the dip. Maybe a little bit too much size there. That's not for me to determine, though. That's, of course, for you to determine.
Hollow might go here in the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes, or if not sooner. It's setting up to try to get above 28 and run. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but the setup is there.
Yeah, setup is definitely there. We'll see if we can bust through that 28 level, 13. And you know what else? This 28 level was actually in play yesterday, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's clearly a level. That is clearly a level there.
Yeah, as soon as you can look in the past and to see, as soon as it gets through 28, this thing just explodes. And then when it comes back down 28, it has a really hard time getting back above it and staying above it. So it is a big breakdown level. ELWS.
I'll be honest, 13. I don't know about you, but I don't see a whole lot of really good setups that I like here. Given the swing, we really kind of sold off yesterday. It looks a little bit higher here today. I'm kind of hesitant. Excuse me. I'm kind of hesitant. I feel like I don't see any great setups here today, though.
Well, the few that I see, it's going to be hollow. It's going to be DTSS. I think DTSS still needs a little bit more time to set up. But those two are looking like the best ones right now. But other than that, I agree. There's not a whole lot at the moment setting up for a good entry, in my opinion. And I'm sure there's going to be folks in the chat that just absolutely like, oh, well, check this out and just get an awesome trade because they saw something we didn't. All right, hollow.
COGT here. Maybe we'll take this top end of the range off. Let me bring up hollow 13.
Hollow is making its way through 28. Doesn't have the volume, it looks like. It might come back in. We need some volume.
As Parker is mentioning, it's stopped at that pre-market high. You're right, 13. We need some volume to get it through this point. That's bingo. Mm-hmm. TAOP, maybe we found the bottom here, and this is curling up. The smoke tuna indicator with the MACD on the 3-minute chart here actually looking pretty good. You know what? Just because I don't have much of anything today, let's give this a shot. 154 entry here, going to stop in a break beneath this support area. Let's see what we had here. 130. I don't think I want to wait for 130. I'm going to put a real tight stop in here because I don't feel all that great about it.
I'm going to try DTSS here. I think this is the level I wanted to see it come down to. If it goes down to the 13, then I'll probably just close this and take the loss.
Okay, so I'm going to do a real tight stop here. I might get stopped out of this one, but I basically am just looking for a move right back up to the VWAP now. I don't necessarily want this to even retest the lows if we get back down there. With the stop set, that means I can change the ticker here. Let's take a look at hollow. That is continuing to move up here. We've got a pretty big spread on this one, it looks like.
Yeah, it needs to close this 5-minute candle above 28.
43 cent spread on hollow. Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, weekly lift calls going from 31 cents to $1.75. That is how you use options. By the way, Hood, little bit of a knife here on volume on Robinhood.
Let's go DTS.
CCG halted, being called by Crow. And I stopped out of TAOP. Bummer. Was really hoping that one was going to take off. We stopped out real small on that though. So no worries there. 0 for 1 here today.
Let's go DTSS. I'm going to start shaving, putting the stop out. Can't lose on this one now. Oh, man, look at this thing go. I'm going to take my profit here, start to slow down. If it runs, it runs. If not, I'm happy with what I got. That was a nice trade. That was right off the bottoming action off VWAP and DTSS. It worked out. That's all that matters. It worked out, and now it's going higher. But I just the way these other ones have been moving today, I'm just taking my profit and being done just with this one for the moment, because this could come right back in just as fast. I don't want to be caught in that.
Sorry, I thought you were done. QQQ breaking out here. Was this Parker? This is exactly why I didn't put on another SQQQ short yesterday. SQQQ moving lower. This is still, I'm still going to play this, but nothing yet. Don't feel good about it yet.
Hollow, it could not take 28, but it's not finished yet. This one would frustrate me though. Yeah, I have a growing concern that we're going to see some of these big runners just get tired all of a sudden and then fall and set up later. Like look at DTSS. Sorry.
Netflix really strong morning here right out of the gate. So this actually diverging. It looks like Apple, on the other hand, is doing the exact opposite here. Apple moving lower, Netflix moving higher. Let's take a look at some of those other big tech names here. NVIDIA moving higher here. We looked at ARM earlier. ARM is actually still moving higher here. How about AMD? A lot of these tech darlings. Apple seems to be the laggard here. And even Amazon, someone had mentioned Amazon earlier was selling off right out of the open. That's actually been bought back up too. So Apple, some weakness here. We took a look at Tesla. That was really weak early. Even that has firmed up. So Apple still looks to be the outlier here. Apple moving lower, down just about 1%, printing 183s at the moment.
Another thing about Apple is that I saw a report that a lot of people that bought those headsets are returning them.
Really? Those Vision Pros that were supposed to be the next big thing, they're returning? Why? Do you know why? Do you have any insight on that?
Yes, they cited that it's large, clunky, and it has a severe lack of content and use cases.
Oh, okay. Well, then I probably don't want to spend $3,600 on it. That makes a lot of sense. Stay focused, my man. Love to see you here this morning. Really appreciate you smashing the like. Follow Stay Focused. Go ahead and smash up that like for us. We really appreciate it. Jay Michael saying, I'm done for the day. Thanks for a great show. You guys are awesome.
Excellent.
Jay Michael, good job clocking out early on your day. Hopefully you've got some good weather. Go get a round of golf or whatever you enjoy doing. Get that in there. Voodoo saying, Ryan, everything cleared up on my end. Thanks for the help this weekend. You got it, Voodoo. You always know where to reach me. I'll say this. We're not perfect, so there will be mistakes, but you can bet your bottom dollar that if the mistake is made, you can contact one of us. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about that. Appreciate you being here, and good morning.
I tried to drop a link in the chat, but it's not showing up. Do you see it over there on your side?
No, there's a link blocker, I think. You probably have to be logged in order to do that. If you want 13, just post it in Slack, and I can drop it for you.
You got
that wouldn't be a problem.
It's regarding the returns on the headsets. Also, there's a bunch of influencers that bought headsets with the intention of returning them. They wanted to put their review in, get their likes and whatnot, and then just take the thing back.
So you bring up a really good point there. Let me ask you about this, 13, because I've wondered about this before. These influencers, YouTubers, whatever you want to call them, these ones that do reviewers, is that what they do? They buy the thing, they review it, and then they return it? I don't know. Crummy, I feel like.
Well, I don't know if that's exclusive to the Apple Provision, being that it's such a pricey item. I imagine some things they'll keep, some things they won't. I think that's just kind of the deal with the Provision, being that it's a $3,500 item.
Yeah. Tesla, by the way, nice little move here on Tesla. Rhea being mentioned. Look at that. Look at that. Coming up off the bottom. It's coming out of the tar pit, guys. We were just talking about how the smoke tuna indicator might actually play on this one. Take a look at this, folks. Shame on me. I even called this. I called this without the help of tuna, using tuna's indicator, and didn't take it. I ended up taking another trade that I got stopped out on, which was really stupid. But take a look at this. This is one of the things tuna's been trying to get across to me. On this 3-minute chart, when the MACD histogram starts to compress or go positive, and you get that combined with some of these pitching signal lines, you often get a move up off the price. And Tuna, please correct me if I'm saying something wrong here, but I've been watching this since you told me about it. Sure looks like we hooked another one here. Brea, that move off 211, we're at 260 here. This would have been a pretty decent trade right off the bottom.
Same thing with CCG. I was mentioning earlier that this was going to eventually come down to some kind of level. I didn't quite get as low as that I was looking for, so I wasn't interested in trading this, but it's coming back up off that rebound, and it's halting up.
Ryan, I learned from the crow, but I used 3 minutes. So there we go. We got the community helping the community, helping the community. That is the feedback loop that I wanted to establish. Next thing, not the real ones, the real influencers, using quotes for that. Get it for free. Indeed.
I'm much happier about the way I handled that DTSS trade now.
Let's take a Brea's really ripping here. If you took this off that bottom there, just make sure you pay yourself on the way up.
Oh,
Book
wow.
some of those gains.
Yeah, Brea.
Yeah,
good job.
That was a good one. That was a real good one.
Yeah, Hollow, Beamer, and DTSS. They're showing red right now. Looks like a lot of these big percent runners are really starting to collapse, which is fine. You know, we got our trades in, right? Just have to wait for something else to set up.
You know, and what's funny here, I was saying yesterday, I got really smacked in my main account. I had a lot of small caps. Small caps led the way down, so it was expected. Portillo was really my worst position yesterday. That stock, man, that has really been a tough trade here. But a lot of that stuff that sold off yesterday is actually bouncing back here today. So that the entire theme that we've been talking about one day something being up and the next day what was up is down and all that is still in play here. Still seems like that is going.
There's been a lot of great comments about what people were saying regarding the Apple and the Vision Pro. I think Stay Focused was saying that Zuckerberg had mentioned that the Quest, their product is better and clearer than Apple Pro Vision. I haven't tried the Apple Pro Vision, but I do have a couple of Quest 2s, and they're pretty good, you know. So I can't really compare, but I have tried. I do own the Meta Quests, and then they're saying Apple's growth is tied to its. Carmen is saying I'd say that Apple's growth is tied to its existing products for now, and I don't disagree with that. I think that they are just basically holding on to what's, you know, their ecosystem of Apple fans, and that's what's keeping them afloat. I mean, I don't really understand the big difference between the two different Apple phones that came out, between the 16 and 17, except for maybe that titanium border.
Yeah, that you know what, I'm with you on that one. It seemed to me like the big feature they were advertising is titanium case. It's like
their whole commercial was based around that nugget of titanium making its way through the universe and then landing on an iPhone.
And then getting Lily to say titanium 3 or 4 times in her ad. The thing about the Apple phone is that it's a service at this point, right? People are always upgrading them. We actually had a really good point made in the happy hour too by Tim that some of the business customers that use Apple phones are actually being forced to upgrade some of their older ones. So this cycle might have some forced upgrading in it as well on the business end. Just something to keep in mind. Real quick, let's see what did I miss here?
We might get another bounce here in DTSS if it can get above VWAP. It's
Mark going back to the well here on CNVS. Good luck with that, Mark. We'll check out DTSS. Now that is coming. Let's see if this comes all the way back into the VWAP. I will be interested in taking a stab at it if it comes all the way back into the.
I really would like to know how our different brokers are calculating VWAP because it's showing yours hasn't come down to it. Meanwhile, it's on mine. It's underneath it and trying to get over it. One of life's mysteries, I suppose. ELWS.
Yeah, that is weird because on my but you know what? Let's see.
QBTS is being mentioned in the chat. I'm going to take a look at that one and see what that's about.
Bring it up here for you. We can discuss it together. QBTS, man, it's just been a staircase towards the highs here. QBTS.
Quantum computing stock, obviously with qubits as the ticker. Qubits, right?
Look, we've got our friend Anne-Marie Band in the chat saying that's why I always look at the slope of VWAP, not necessarily the VWAP value, but the slope the line is making, that is a pro tip straight from a pro. We'll take that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And don't forget, Anne-Marie, a segment on our show. I think we're going to see her later today and later this week. So if you're looking for some option setups and some option trading and option discussion, stick around. We've got a treat for you.
Okay, right. So the news with QBTS was that they unveiled a breakthrough 1,200 plus qubit prototype, and I don't know how I can explain to somebody, the leap forward that is, because I don't think I've heard of that many qubits being able to be calculated that fast or that in that amount. So it's a good number. It is a breakthrough from what I've understand about quantum computing. Anybody else that has a better idea of quantum computing may be able to put a better explanation in there, but
I'll be honest, I'm still trying to figure out quantum computing.
I would try to find the easiest way to have it described to you and learn about it, because it is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, indeed. I don't doubt that at all. ELWS is open, you guys are saying. Looks like that's trading up here. 13. I'm going to just step away for 1 sec. I'll be right back. You got it?
Absolutely. Looks like DTSS is still trying to hold up as well. I have that hanging out between the 9 and 15 EMAs, but it's looking like it's getting some selling pressure. What else do we have going on here, folks? The ticker that we were talking about was QBTS, Miss Emery. That is a quantum computing stock. D-Wave also, if this is the same company I'm thinking of, they also used to make routers and other networking hardware as well. What else we got here? INN still going down. That's IINN, by the way. BMR is trying to come off its 65 EMA, trying to get through some of these slower or the shorter time frame EMAs right now. Anything else? PLCE. Let's take a look at that one. Children's Place. And what is this about? Children's Specialty Apparel Retailer. All right. What is the news on what's driving this today? Oh, it's getting chopped around here. Did they have some earnings recently that didn't pan out too well? Looks like they did.
I'm back, 13. Thank you very much for the assist.
No worries. Just trying to go through PLCE to understand why the stock went down and now it's trading up today. Looks like the guidance, that's it. The guidance off their earnings on the 9th of February did not impress investors, so it went down, and now it's coming back up off their bottoming action. Also, we had Simad Muhammad Asif bought a good amount of shares. I apologize for if that's the incorrect pronunciation of the name. Yesterday, they bought almost 2 million shares. So some fascinating things happening.
Real quick here, Jay Rice just absolutely getting it done yet again, trimming more lift here. We're going to get a register ring for that. Book those gains, baby. If you recall, I've been talking about the new CEO for a while. Indeed, we actually had a discussion recently about how important management teams are and how they can often influence what the stock is going to do and how the market actually appreciates. And we had a discussion about that. I think it was Monday this week in the happy hour. So really good spot there. I'll be honest. I saw the CEO this morning on CNBC. That might have been the first interview I saw with him. I do like him, though. I do. And you know what else I really like? That we talked about them having an error in their press release. There was an extra zero, which is kind of a big error. I will say, working for a news company, we've made our fair share of errors. One of the things that I like the most about how the CEO handled it is that he straight up owned it. First of all, his team corrected it very, very quickly. That's obviously important. But after that, he owned the mistake. He said, "Look, this is my fault. We're obviously, We're obviously trying to give accurate information as quick as possible. This was a simple mistake, but it's unacceptable." And I like when people have accountability for mistakes like that. It's not, You don't always see that. And I saw that from the Lyft CEO this morning. So I was a little bit slow on this CEO, Jay, but I agree. My initial impressions are that he's good.
Yeah, sorry, Jay, I didn't see that that news you posted earlier. I apologize, but I think that what I mentioned about the gentleman's name I mentioned is what you're referring to. SoFi breaking up.
Gregory, good morning, man. Welcome. Mentioning Rigetti, another quantum AI leader. You know what? That's a good call. One of the things about Rigetti, I know the stock's only $1.30 here, but we've actually seen this stock move considerably. In fact, I think SS Trades, Jay Summers, Smoke Tuna, a number of people from our chat have traded Rigetti. I've traded Rigetti for a gain last year in 2023. So this is another stock we will constantly see. This one, we'll keep bringing it up, but that was a good mention there. DTSS above VWAP, huh?
That one's coming back. We're trying to anyway. It needs to get over 15, really. Getting over VWAP is good.
Yeah, it didn't quite hit that VWAP, but you're right.
Yeah, it's just volume has really slowed down in these. So hitting the levels that I'd like to see hit, I might not get. Looks like Hollow is taking another stab at 28. But again, low volume. Yeah, I just don't know. Some of these things are starting to look tired.
Lyft here, stay focused. Another really good comment here. I heard Lyft was squeezing from the shorts. If we take a look here, let me go ahead and bring this up here. If we take a look at the short interest here on Lyft, let's examine that and see the possibility of that. As of February 9th, so not even a week ago, got an updated reading here. 13.92% of its float shorted and 5.29 days to cover. Anything over 5 days to cover definitely has some squeeze potential. I'd be curious to know how many of those shorts actually closed their position prior to the earnings, because if they did stay in, this is a rather huge pop. And maybe there could be some more squeeze action here. I really like the way that Jay handled this trade. He's trimming on the way up. So one of the things that I had been struggling with recently is just selling the entire position too early. You got Jay here showing you exactly how it's done. Just trim partial of the position as it keeps moving. Stay focused. To your point, if we get more of a squeeze here and you still have some exposure, more money to be made, more meat on the bone there for us to take.
CCG has been halting up just all day, ever since it got down to that bottoming area. It's constantly halting up,
and it's above its VWAP here. This one really spread.
Oh, it's open again. Yeah, now it's going to probably get halted again.
10 prints here, it looks like. Some size at 10. Let me see if we can. Man, that spread is just. And back down $1. Okay, right there. That's going to be too volatile for my blood, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Mark, out of CN, let me make sure I get this right so I don't misquote you. CNVS here. Out of that one, looks like that trade didn't work. As far as I know you hit this one for a gain on the first trade. Looks like the second trade was a small loss. So good job keeping the money that you made early in your pocket. Excuse me.
Yeah, but tomorrow we get retail sales too. Forgot about that. DTSS still trying. It's trading over 15 at the moment, trying to push higher. Hollow still wants to try to take out. It's looking like Hollow's going to either break out at 28 and have a nice run, or it's just going to get tired from trying to break over 28 and just fall through everything. There's no in between.
Yeah, yacht insurance guy in Florida saying, Ryan, I too always sell it instead of chunks, all in or all out. So there's a time and a place for this. And sometimes when you're scalping some of these smaller Momo names that are kind of junkier, that's probably the best way in a lot of these cases. But one of the things that we've seen recently in this environment is some of these that go, and it's a small percentage, but some of these that go really, really go, right? I mean, take example, Hollow. That was 1 to 51 in a day's time. The only way to really kind of trade that consistently is to leave trailers on, make some money early on to give yourself a buffer. And then that way you can let that trailer piece sit, and the back and forth action, that back and forth volatility is fairly meaningless, right? You've already got gains booked. You've already reduced your position size, but you still have exposure in case the thing goes absolutely buck wild. So this is one of the things that I'm trying to implement here. Sometimes I'm successful with it. I did a fairly decent job yesterday. No setup here for it today, but this is definitely something that I'm going to be doing. And again, if you take a look at some of the traders that have been doing this for a long time, this is kind of a natural thing for them. A little bit different when you use options versus stock too. Obviously, options are going to have that decay factor added to it, whereas the stock is just the stock that you have. Okay, we are approaching 10:30 here pretty soon, which means it is almost guest time. So all of you folks that are interested in options, we have yet another treat here for you today. We're going to turn this into a weekly segment as well. Just another minute here. Can I get a thumbs up backstage if you're ready to go? Boom. We are going to be ready here in just a sec. Let me catch up with the chat. Can you please help to check SYN? Sure. Let's take a look at SW. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I said Y. I was so wrong there. SWIN. So did this have news or something here real quick? Let me see. Slow in holdings. No, we have an unconfirmed earnings for 2 weeks from today. Looks like we did have some passive stakes yesterday. Looks like the market not really rewarding SWIN here today. Sold off a little bit, but bouncing. I don't really have anything on this one, to be quite honest. Looks like we did kind of bounce off a previous high, so maybe that was a support spread, fairly 23-cent spread here, so fairly spread.
2 million float. No splits.
IINN maybe coming up off the bottom. ELWS, Mark calling that on a potential move back towards VWAP. Yep, let's see if it reclaims that VWAP and move higher. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest. We are going to talk about options with the one, the only Anne-Marie Band. Anne-Marie, how are you doing here today?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk about options. On a day like today, following a sell-off yesterday and then watching the overnight sort of catch the zone, I wanted to give folks a couple of ideas of how these sorts of things might work. So if you put that on a 1 minute,
the SPY,
put it on a 1 minute, and then look at yesterday before it started bouncing. And I want to show you something super interesting.
Okay. Here is yesterday's window.
Yes, right there. So you'll notice as it gets to the low, all of a sudden, all the way down towards 330-ish. Yeah, just before that 330 leg, you'll notice that the pricing starts to slow. And so one of the things that's very, very interesting that you learn over repeated exposure to the market is that intraday, the speed of motion gives you clues. If you are a swing trader, you never see this. This is something that only those of us in the market watching every day can pick up. So one of the things I want you to think about is the following. When you've had a really big move down and price action begins to slow, it's telling you something. And if you're an options trader, it's telling you something huge. And so yesterday for the 0 DTEs, what we looked at was, hey, listen, price action slowing. So they're either taking a breath before they run out of the building screaming because the place is on fire, or they go, you know what, I'm doubling down. And so what we saw happening was that space that says, hey, one of those two things is going to happen. So when we're a trader, if we're in stocks, it's very hard to position, but in options, we have the strangle. And so what the strangle is buying a put at one level and buying a call at another level. And so in the SPY, the number was 491 in case it fell off a cliff, and 493 in case it moved to the upside. So we took this strangle in Benzinga, and regrettably, because I have the patience of a gnat, I did not hold it long enough. As it fell down, I covered the long put, but I left the long call sitting there until I saw it climbing because, regrettably, full disclosure, I am a little bearish by nature. I'm always looking for, the floor to fall out somewhere. And that's just because I'm a risk manager first. And so this call at 493 went from 2 cents to almost $2. And it happened in literally 8 or 9 minutes before the close. So here's what I want to share with us. The big takeaway from these sorts of things is if you see price action, and you can see that it happened, earlier in the day with the first spike upward. If you're still looking at the 1 minute, you can go just above there at about the 2:10 time frame, 2 p.m. Maybe it's 3 o'clock. No, yeah,
it's right here. It's 2 p.m.
2:20. Yep. Yeah, go to about 2:20. You'll see the same thing happening. It falls right off a cliff, and then it starts sitting around. It slows down. And so when action slows down like that, it tells you that the two guys on either side of the tug of war are planting their feet and getting ready to do something to upset the other side. Again, we don't know what that is. But if we had chosen the call and the put strangle there and watched the bounce into the old resistance zone that we can see from that breakdown area, or watch it try to get into that bounce, we could have easily sold that call and then left the long put to gather pressure. You can see this on volatility bands. Now, the bad thing is the trading view charts that we have for for Benzinga Pro don't have the vol bands. So we would need to go to Thinkorswim or something like that. And I can show it to you if you like, so that you can say, hey, Emery, how am I going to know whether this is happening or not? You can look at your volatility bands and they will tell you the story, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Okay, so, did you want to go ahead and share your screen? We can absolutely do that. And folks, if you have any questions for Anne-Marie, definitely ask. She makes herself available all of the time. We are going to try to do segments like this all the time. So if you have questions on how you can actually use this, go ahead and ask. We will try and take as many of those as we can. And 13, absolutely. I appreciate you keeping an eye on some of those smaller names while we're going through these options trades.
Thank you. All right. So here is the price action that occurred yesterday, right? So let's say you're like, you know what? I want to sharpen this tool in my tool chest by getting these options on the 0 DTE and see if they can work for me. Now, the way that they work, couple of different ways. You can look anytime price breaks and breaks down and starts slipping into the deep vol, you can buy the strangle. Now, the closer it is to the end of the day, the cheaper the strangle gets. But early on the day, the price action fell over because of the CPI. We can't do anything because we can't buy the options in the pre-market. You could do other things like event contracts, but you can't really strangle those right now. They just don't work that way. So here's what happens. 9:30 comes. Let's see where 9:30 is. 9:30 comes and we're still in this sideways pressure event, and this line in the sand here is the opening tick. So you don't do anything until it gets to the bottom of a band where you can buy the strangle, or it gets into the top of the band where you can buy the strangle, and you just follow trend. The absolute beauty of this is that, one, you get quick strike trades, right? The trades are going to run very quickly. Hang on 2 seconds. I can't see this screen very well.
You said that 1,000% thing happened in 9 minutes. Those are quick trades.
Yeah, they are. And this is where it started here. We bought the strangle about here, right? Where I said, listen, it's either going to run up, or it's going to run down, or it's going to do both. And if it does both, you make money on the put side and on the call side. It's absolutely fantastic, which is what we did. The put we bought for about 12 cents, and we sold that one at 52 cents. I did not hold the call long enough.
It also seems, Anne-Marie, the risk that you're taking here is actually relatively small because you're buying such cheap contracts. So really that managing your risk then just comes down to the position size on how many of those contracts you're going to take. Now, my question here is, with zero DTE, depending on the size that you take, is there always enough liquidity in those options to be able to close your trade?
Absolutely. There are hundreds of thousands of them coming into the close.
Okay.
Absolutely incredible amount of liquidity. So the spread is like 1 penny wide. So yes, absolutely. My favorite times to go are when I can see price action start to slow down. See how it sort of slows down right here. Chop, 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 and it's at the edge of a volatility band. I'm going to buy a strangle. Chop, 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 chop. I'm going to buy a strangle. You just want price action to slow down. Just let them do a little mini consolidation, and then you can go for it. Now, if you are a directional trader, you can definitely do that. But otherwise, this is very ideal.
And I think what I like the most about this is that it seems very, very clear, right? You're basically saying it's either direction is going to work, and you're basically waiting for this to reach one of the extremes. You talk about the price action slowing down. I like that. I will sometimes describe that. 13 and I, when we're trading stocks here, we will often notice and say the stock is feeling heavy, right? So if a stock is really kind of running up on momentum, like it did right after that bottom on your chart there gets to be a point where it seems like that momentum is leveling off and it's slowing down. I will sometimes say it feels heavy up here. Sometimes we can actually see that with some of the wicks. So what I like here is that you actually have a way to play this no matter which direction the SPY moves.
Yes, absolutely. And because, I make fun of myself a lot, but it's all very, very true. I really am a Forrest Gump trader. I just look for the pictures and go, okay, simple is, simple does. I know it's going to go one day or the other. Okay, so these are specialty bands that are custom coded, but you can, let me delete this. You can do this in the following way. Let me show you how I have the regular volatility bands drawn here in Thinkorswim. So I'm just going to open up my studies, And you're going to see this. I have a VWAP band that says 1, a VWAP band that says 2.5, and a VWAP band that says 3.5. So it's all the VWAPs, and I've just leveled out the standard deviations. And that's how you might do that. Okay? And so what it does is give you the ribbons in very nice, clean ways. If you want your ribbons to be brighter, knock yourself out, right? I like them to be thin because I want price to be my primary action state. Look at price first, and then when price begins to behave in a certain way, it tells me what the participants are doing. Yeah, exactly, Voodoo. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm a simple trader. I would love to be super fancy, but I'm not. I just am a gal that goes, wait a second, what makes most sense? And if I can't tell what's going on, I am going to sit on my hands. Now, take a look at what just happened here. Now we're looking at a 5-minute chart right here. We just expanded all the way up to the highest volatility band that's normal. That's about 2.5 to 3. Okay. We just expanded all the way there, and then we started going sideways. This amazing space to buy a strangle. Now, early in the day, the strangles are a little more expensive. So your move down, as soon as it starts moving down and gets into a space, you can go, I'm out. Or you can say, you know, it's kind of bullish today. I'm at the VWAP. I'm at the opening tick. Maybe I'll just cover the puts and let's see what the calls can do to recover back up into the motion. So it really is, it's so visual that I love it. I'm just madly in love with playing the zero DTEs like this.
Okay, real quick question here I wanted to get to here. We have traders of varying experience here, especially when it comes to options. A1 saying, options I really don't fully comprehend. Do you have to have the full amount in your account before you buy the call or the put?
That is correct. You do. Let me show you. So today is February 14th, and we are going to look at the SPY. And so here are the costs that we're looking at. Okay, so just a moment ago, we had the call and the put. So we're going to go one strike away, just under, that's $82, and just over, that's $57. So the total cost on one strangle here is $1.37. Okay, so that's $137. And your job, let's say we just bought it there. That's just a pretty bad price, actually. But let's just say you're looking at this. You've come into the VWAP and you've got upside pressure. See, price action is going to do one of two things. It's going to dance around here for a while, which is why I don't really love buying it in the center. And then it's going to move down or it's going to move up. So when you buy these options, yes, you have to have the total amount in your account, but that's your total risk, $139. Now, yesterday, by the end of the day, that strangle that we had bought for 57 cents, it was worth, the strangle on both sides, it was worth something like $3, right? So the call option that went from 2 pennies to over $2 is sitting in a space where you go, okay, I'm going to get in, going to get out. This is not a place that you bet the farm. This is a place that you go, hey, I'm going to trade this. And for every wiggle that I get into the outer edges of my volatility band, I'm going to buy a strangle, and then I'm going to cover when it either comes to the VWAP or it moves down to the other edge of the band. So that's really what we're looking at.
Okay, awesome. Awesome stuff there. I really appreciate this. I appreciate having a little bit more advanced options trades in here. It really does seem like this is a great way to control your risk ahead of time on some of these trades. Anne-Marie, we do have only like 13 minutes left here. Is there anything that you're looking at, any tickers or any strikes or expiries that you're looking at here for later today?
So, did Coin report? Yeah.
No,
after the close.
let me get you that. Let me actually get you that. It's after the close today.
Yeah. So,
yep.
Yeah, it is after the close today. And so is AMD, right? AMD reported today too. They report after the close today too? Or did they already report?
Let me go ahead and get that for you. Sorry, I didn't have that here handy.
I shouldn't be bothering cluttering up your time with that.
The AMD reported after the close on January 30th. The next report is not till April.
Okay, so the coin positioning I find to be very interesting. And so this one, again, we can look at two things.
Coin is tomorrow, by the way. Sorry, just to clean that up.
Okay,
coin
great.
is tomorrow.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. So if it's here tomorrow after hours, and you can see it gapping into resistance, this is a perfect place. Let's see if we can get a volatility band around this one on an hourly chart. Let's see what the vol band is doing here. So this is stretched into the top of its ranges. And so it's going to do one of two things. It's going to explode higher, or it's going to fade. And so my supposition is that it will fade. And so if I am expecting it to fade, then the question would be, well, where would it fade to? I like the round number of 150, maybe to 135. And so again, I will choose a butterfly. So I think a butterfly maybe in March will give us a little bit of motion. So we have 150 to 135. That gives us a debit of, wow, that's expensive. Maybe we tighten that up and we go 145 to price this option. That would be really pretty expensive. Let's go 145 to 135. That gives us a $2 credit. Now, if it falls off the rails, things might get a little troublesome. But if we move to that 135, but we don't break the 120, we can actually put a $25 position that might open up $1,000 of motion, right? So let's take a look at this risk profile. Now, first of all, there is some risk here. And so let's go to it very quickly. The risk profile for this one gives us a maximum loss of $1,000. Now, why? Why is that? We collect $10 on the way down, but this one is $15 wide. So there's an extra $5 that we open ourselves up to risk if this falls off a cliff. If you don't want to have any risk other than your debit, you can use this strike as the 125. But if it moves down into 135, like we expect it to, and it stays in that region, we're going to make about $1,200 off of a $22 bet.
So pretty good risk to reward there, I must say.
Yes, it is. Now, if you decided, wait a second, I don't like that, I would like for my risk to be bounded. I don't want to be open to, let me close these up here because these are not what we need to look at. And I want to get this. You can say, all right, I can pay a little bit more. Instead of the 120, I'll choose 125. And I don't know why my thing will not do it. So the 125 is almost $1 higher. So you'd pay $1.12 or $112 to potentially get, $1,000 motion or $900 motion up into the top of the band.
Okay, I mean that's 10-to-1 risk to reward there. So it's a really good description of how you can use options to actually position this. Anne-Marie, I really appreciate this. This is awesome. I'm looking forward to continuing to setting up some more options trades here. You're going to join us again on Friday?
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll have all kinds of fireworks to look at.
I think so too.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think so too. Really, really appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. Folks, again, Anne-Marie is an options whiz. So if you have questions on options or want to ask her any follow-up questions on some of these strategies, I highly encourage you to do that. Anne-Marie, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you on Friday.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Yes, thank you both. Bye.
All right. Take care. All right. So again, multiple ways to do things here. Options, not. I'm trying to dive more into them, like some of you out there. I understand the basic principles of it, but I really want to start using some of these different structured options trades to really put the odds in my favor. So we're going to look to keep doing that here. If you guys have any ideas for potential trades that you want to run down in the future, let's go ahead and do that too. Now, 13, while we were doing that, I'm sure there was a ton of action. I was watching DTSS in the background here. This thing's still moving up. Looks like we actually got some of that price slowing that Anne-Marie was just talking about there. Let's see. You think we regress back to the mean here? Do you have a trade on?
In the next couple of minutes or so, I think we're going to get a determination on the direction here. We'll probably be getting crossing the 15 up over VWAP, and that can be bullish. But we did get up to that 1780 level that I was mentioning. I don't know what's going to happen at the moment because we do have these top wicks up here, these upper shadows that aren't looking too enticing. But I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. I've already traded this. I have no position right now. Hollow was the other one that was working pretty well, but that one also got slapped down. No position in anything at the moment.
Okay. So Hollow really did get slapped. That looks like that got straight up rejected from the VWAP here.
Well, what happened is it broke out of that formation I was mentioning, because I was talking about it breaking over 28. And when it broke over 28 and held, it went all the way up to 3170. Then the next 5-minute candle, we went right back down, right through 28. Like I said earlier, 28 is a breakdown level, and wow, did we break down.
Yep, so, indeed. And that VWAP happens to be sitting right at about 28 there. So that matching up with that level as well.
Yeah, so DTSS, Hollow, those were the two big winners for me today. Not much else is going on. And I'm not sure if this is how much gas these have left in the tank. DTSS could maybe go higher, but I'm just not sure right now because of how it's been getting rejected at these higher levels above 17.
Been a wild day so far. It looks like and you know what, 13 is I'm willing to bet that this is not going to be the end of it, right? Things might be slowing down now, but keep a lot of these stocks on your radar for later today. Hollow, DTSS, even ELWS. Let's take a look and see where that one is here. I know that was a halt fest earlier. Maybe this has kind of found its bottom, right? Maybe this is going to kind of be the intraday bottom there. On ELWS. You Smoke Tuna, I know you were also taking a look at some more that might be possibly bottoming. These might be on deck for later today here. DBGI certainly does look like that bottomed, already closed its way back to the VWAP. And I think you also had SNTG, right? That was the other one that you had there. Maybe that has bottomed as well. Sure looks like that's coming off the bottom. Got a good dollar here back up to the VWAP.
I'm not sure about ELWS. I think this one really does need to come back up very soon. Otherwise, it's going to be going lower. We're going to have some EMAs crossing some longer time frame EMAs soon, and that's usually a signal that it's going lower. DTSS not able to hold these levels, but it's still above VWAP, my VWAP anyway. So we'll see what it can bring us. Just those upper shadows were not looking good.
I like this tip here too. Jay, we've talked a lot about maybe trading some of these earnings names. Jay saying, I'll give you an idea. Never hold a name into earnings unless you have a profit target greater than the expected move. Use spreads and sell premium. I had a bearish bet on Airbnb, 150, 148 put spread, $90 risk to make $2. That is obviously making over 100% there. This is the type of thing that I really want to get more involved with in doing. I want to be able to use some more of these advanced options trades to lower the risk end of the potential trade. This should actually make it easier to trade some of these names around earnings. So really kind of appreciate this stuff. Love any input that you folks have. Let's try and boost the knowledge of everyone here. Real good stuff.
We just had gasoline inventories and crude inventories come out while we were talking just now.
Okay, let me take a look at that. And by the way, real quick here, just talk to the producers backstage. We are going to be going to 11. We're actually going to stay a couple of minutes past 11. The office assistant is very happy about that. Very, very happy about that. Those oil numbers, let me just read them off here for you real quick. U.S. crude oil inventories build of 12.018 million versus a build of 3.3 million estimate. Prior build was 5.52 billion, so big build there. EIA weekly distillery stocks, a draw of 1.915 million versus a draw of 1.6 million estimated. USA gasoline inventories draw of 3.658 million versus a draw of 1.16 million. So all those numbers coming in a little hot there. Looks like oil kind of traded down on that news and is starting to bounce back up here on the oil futures chart.
Yeah, also the Fed's Goolsbee was talking while we had Miss Anne Marie on, and said he doesn't know if higher productivity will be sustained. But I don't know that that's really moving the needle right now. What he's saying about the market. Too many people going back to offices in terms of commercial real estate. That means difficult to know its profile going forward. And this is something we've talked about previously with the back to the office. People working from home, going back to the office. How that's hurting commercial real estate because some of these companies have leases or loans on these buildings that they need these people to go in. So they're not, utilizing that. That's like CapEx. It's not being utilized essentially. Yeah. So, and then you also have the possibility of some of these loans going belly up because they're not getting the income or there could be a number of reasons why those are not getting paid, those loans. But those banks that hold those loans are the smaller ones that are can sometimes be on the wrong side of rates and have a pretty big risk to them.
Indeed, and the smaller banks, sorry, office assistant, really getting frisky here today. The smaller banks definitely at more risk from those commercial loans than some of the bigger banks. That's definitely a theme that we've been talking about. So, okay, awesome, folks. 13, another great job here today. Really appreciate everyone from the community bringing out all of the really good ideas here today. Wild day with some of these runners. We are expecting some more earnings this week, so let's see what the week has. Really appreciate all of you folks, all of the new faces. We are done here for today, but guess what? We're going to be back at this again tomorrow. 13, thanks so much. I'm going to get you out of here.
Bye, folks. Oh, I think he got himself out of here.
Removed myself. I'm going to get 13 out of here, and then I just bounced myself. 13, take care of yourself. We'll see you around. And folks, we will see you around tomorrow. Thanks everybody for all of your kind words and support. Tomorrow is another day to make some money.